Welcome to the special stage. Tier lists, odds and ends. I just want to get started. We're gonna be here for a while. I'm Camilla, this is Vespa.
Hello.
Let's just get started. Sonic, how do we feel about Sonic at this point in the story up to issue 24?
I'm gonna be honest, it's still kind of C rank.
Yeah. He's okay, but I also don't feel like he's changed as much. Like, we've had some character change at this point, but I don't feel like Sonic himself has changed that much.
Yeah, that's about fair. Like, they're really just, I can't really just say much about the guy. Like, he's just the same as he was before. Like, to be fair, that's Sonic for you. He's a static character, and like I kind of expect that. He's not really that remarkable, like, especially since like I feel like some of the Freedom Fighters are starting to improve some.
Yeah. Some, but not.
C tier is I think fine for him. Like, it's very
back to
neutral
C.
on the dude.
Back to C. Tails. He did commit the original sin and eat from the fruit of the
I thought it was Sonic that committed the original sin. It was the
Hedgehog. They both did. They committed their own original sins, but Tails did eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, so...
And Sonic just uses a size ray for his fetishes, I suppose. About the same level of sin.
Yeah, I'm at the same level, so C tier he goes. No.
Okay,
No.
Joking aside, I'd say maybe B tier. Like, I feel like we're starting to get more of, like, cartoon, like, adventures / Sad AM tales, where he's, like, still, like, the tag-along kid, but, like, he's, like, we got, like, more of a dynamic going on with him and Sonic. Like, it's starting to, like, he's starting to tag along as, like, a sidekick to him more often. He's actually getting to, like, take center stage on a few stories, like, he's, like, fine enough. I like him. Like, it's starting to, like, he's starting to endear to me now. So I'd say at least B tier.
He's okay, but it also just doesn't feel like he has much going for him. Like, he has his personality from the cartoons, but what that is not much. Like, at the earlier point in the comics, he was just, like, he follows Sonic and that's it. Whereas, like, at this point, he's got I gotta, like, stand up for myself and all that. But it's also not that interesting to me. I guess I'm fine with putting him at B tier, if only because I really want the Freedom Fighters to have an existence above the back half.
Yeah, that's understandable.
So we'll put him in B tier. Sally.
I'm going to be honest, I feel like we should have had, like, 2 Sallys for this, because I honestly feel like Sally miniseries Sally is different from main series Sally currently. Like, she still feels
I'm gonna level with you.
Yeah?
I think they're both boring.
That's fair.
I've just been realizing, reading the Sally miniseries, that Sally is just, to me, not that interesting of a character. Like, she is just the tough and stalwart leader.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't really have that much going for her other than she is the leader. Like, she's evolved from personality girl, though she does slip into that at points. But now she is just, I'm the leader.
Yeah.
You know? And
she's
so I don't...
Or Leonardo, for more
I don't feel like she has much going for her. Yeah. I feel like we might keep her in C tier.
I suppose. I just hope that, like... I'm debating if I think she is B tier.
You can argue with this. We don't have to just, like, have me talk you up or down, and then we have Porker Lewis S tier.
Like, the thing with her is, like, I don't like how she's handled it in, like, most of the main issues we've read. Like, I honestly find it worse than how she was handled in the first, like, the miniseries in the first batch of issues, because now we have her, like, fawning over Sonic, and I feel like it's kind of her personality in a couple issues. And whereas, like, it is still, like, personality leader, but at the very least, like, she's not the most interesting character, but it's still, like, I find myself at least, like, sort of caring about her a bit more now when I read the miniseries, even if I didn't really care for Ivor. Like, she's still, at least, I had some more, like, interest and empathy for her than I have for Sonic so far. But she's at least... I like I said, like, Leonardo's B tier, like, I feel like kind of Sally, at least miniseries Sally, is kind of the same ranking for me. Though I do just worry with the introduction of the love triangle with Jeffrey, that will probably be coming soon at some point. She might end up being, like, how that's going to affect the rankings for her and Sonic in the future.
Well, the thing is, I think she wasn't she D tier in the previous one?
I thought you... Actually, yeah, I think she was D tier.
Let me look, because I have the previous tier list saved. My account... First... Yeah, she was D tier, so putting her in C tier is an upgrade for her.
I suppose. Like, yeah, I suppose C tier is fine for now.
Antoine, D tier, moving on.
Yeah.
I just...
honestly, yeah.
He is now his cartoon counterpart. He is cowardly in French and pines after women. I don't care.
Yeah, I can't say I do either. Like, we've gotten rid of, like, he's not as bad as, like, at least season 2, Antoine, but it's still, like, there was some degree of competence with him in that first batch of issues and in the miniseries. That's gone now because of the cartoon, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It sucks, because I was kind of warming up to him, like, at first, but hopefully, as things get more serious, they drop that, because if he's still, like, the cowardly butt monkey, that's going to get really distracting when shit gets real.
Absolutely. Rotor. I don't know. I still think he was one of the most interesting members of the Freedom Fighters, but now they're making him into a goopy sludge boy, and I'm just very confused.
They're really just... I feel like out of all of them, there's just nothing going for him in terms of being... In terms of at least, like, the main Freedom Fighters. Like, Sonic and Tails is, like, the cute, like, kid sidekick. Sally's, like, the leader, and she's the main girl of the group. Antoine's, like, was at least meant to be, like, her guard, but now is, like, he's a funny butt monkey. Bunny's a fucking cyborg bunny. Rad as hell. And, like, cute southern girl. And Rotor is the brains.
I feel like Rotor is slowly following into the trend of kids' cartoons, where he is just the MacGuffin maker.
Oh,
no, the MacGuffin maker. Like, he just makes the thing they need for that story. Like, we see that to an extent in the final story with Evil Sonic. We see that in What's Oldest Newt again. He is basically just becoming the utility character in the sense that he allows the writers to have an invention they need, you know?
Yeah, and they just kind of shove in, like there just really isn't much to him. Like, we just get these random tidbits about him every now and then. Like, he has an ant farm and he likes to eat pollution. Polluted waste.
Unfortunately, we bumped up Sally, we bumped up Tails. I think we need to bump down Rotor into C.
That C sounds about right. Like, I just find it funny. Like, I was thinking B for Sally with Leonardo, and C tier with Donatello, the inventor of the group. And I don't know as much about, like, most incarnations of Donatello as much as I do, like, but, like, I do kind of, like, how I envision Donnie is kind of how I feel about Rotor. Like, they're just kind of like the brains in the sense that they, like, at least like my surface level view of Donatello, they're the ones that make the inventions of the episode or the story.
Yeah.
Bunny
basically did not appear in this. I really should have just done a joke where I just kept her as, like, preset on this tier list to make a joke about how she barely appears.
I am so upset with how she's been handled so far. Like, I knew I kind of got the feeling like she wasn't going to be as frequent, especially when, like, the miniseries didn't even have her. But I was not expecting her to have this much of a non-presence going on. Like, it's... I think,
and it pains me to say it, I think she needs to be in the D tier, because she has nothing going for her at this point. She
really doesn't.
Forgettable to the point where the writers frequently forget to put her in.
Yeah, she just, like, the most distinct, like, it doesn't even feel like her cyborg thing really adds much to her. Like, we have one story where Robotnik tries to magnetize her, and that's quickly dealt with as soon as, like, it's introduced. Like, I was assuming, like, surely, like, it's going to be, like, a series of things, or, like, he was going to have something that would, like, be a good counter to her or something, but no, it's just a magnet.
It's just disappointing.
Yeah.
And speaking of disappointing and barely has any presence in the story, Nicole, I don't know. Because at this point, we've not watched Sat AM yet, and so at this point, I do not get the point of Nicole. They just exist as a PDA companion for Sally. It doesn't, like, do anything for me at all.
Yeah, I thought, like, the introduction to her caught my eye. Like I said, like, I thought, like, there was going to be something more for backstory. Like, if, like, maybe she was, like, the idea that, like I mentioned with Sat AM's, like, plans, like, for the, like, for second season. But, like, she's just kind of the computer. Like, that's kind of what she's been so far. But to be fair, like, we've only gotten, like, 3 stories with her. I'm not even going to count, like, the mini... Like, I'm not even really counting, like, the mini-series as a whole. I guess, like, yeah, the Universe
Element 2. She even show
2.
up in... I know you're referring to what's old, but, like, did she even appear in the Sally miniseries?
Yeah, she was in... Well, not in the Sally miniseries, the first Sally story.
And the first Sally story is all about her existence, but, like...
Right, but
the Sally miniseries, she doesn't even appear in it.
I think, like, she appeared at the start. I think, like, she's, like, the one that, like, she technically appears in the sense that she's the device that, like, Sally uses to help her. But, like, yeah, she's just...
I just feel a deeds here, honestly.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, she just does not have... Like, and to be fair, like, she's barely appeared so far, and, like, currently it seems like the only idea they have, the writers, for her is, like, she's the special computer device. It's just that, like... But also, like, I guess she's friends with Sally, so maybe that gets developed later.
Okay.
Uncle Chuck.
No, hold on.
What?
We have the Freedom Fighters at an even bleaker point right now.
I mean,
Tails has gone a bit up, but everyone is still in the bottom rungs, where many of them have gone a step down.
I mean, I was gonna say Sally might have been B tier, but I still feel like C is probably, like, a good choice for that.
I don't know. I don't even feel confident in Tails being B tier, but that's like just me. I don't know.
I just have a soft spot for, like, this kind of, like, incarnation of Tails, like the cute, like, sidekick kid.
Yeah. So Tails or Sally, do you think is better than who in this point in the story? So I feel like that's, like, the main contention, given you wanted Tails in B tier, you wanted Sally in B tier. I don't think either of them are B tier, but I'm fine with having just one of them in there. Yeah. Which one do you think fits in there more?
I'm gonna go with Tails, because I just don't like how she was handled for, like, the first half of the issues we've read. Like I said, I feel like the Sally of the miniseries and the Sally of the main series are, like, 2 separate characters at this point.
Yeah, I get that. Okay, Uncle Chuck. We don't have much to say about him, because he only appeared in, like, one comic, which basically served to be just like, hey, remember, Uncle Chuck does exist, we didn't forget.
Yeah, and, like, he's just, like, for the most part in that story, he's, like, essentially a figment of Sonic's imagination.
Yeah.
I'm at least glad that they finally gave him a robotic design instead of having him be hypnotized. I think
the robotic design does a lot for him, and so, I think maybe, no, I'm kidding. We're not gonna put him in S tier, unless you think we can have the Uncle Chuck sweep. Do you think we can go for an Uncle Chuck sweep?
I got attention. Like, it's not like he had done anything that's made me dislike him since the last batch. So, and like I said, I liked the roboticized design for him. Like, it's a cool look. And it's like, it's kind of what I think of when I think of Uncle Chuck. Like, since I feel like that's, like, with his design as well in Sat AM. Like, from what I remember, like, a scene of it. Like, that's what they usually appears as.
So our first S tier character is a character that only shows up once in the batch of episodes we watched.
Right, the batch of stories we read. And he's his actual...
The one character that actually appears in these series of issues that are part of the main canon that isn't just a Ninja Turtles bit. We did learn that the Archie was doing Ninja Turtles at the time, so it is not like they had to file off copyright. So that does mean, in my eyes, the Turtles are canonically in the same universe as Sonic.
I'm honestly kind of surprised there was not a Sonic crossover with the Turtles at some point before, like, Archie lost the rights. But, like, I don't know, IDW still got the rights to TMNT, I believe, and they still got Sonic comics, so I genuinely would love to see... I would love to see the Turtles crossing over the Hedgehog.
Yeah. Muskie.
What did we put him at last time?
We put him in, like,
B tier.
B tier, because he was a good boy.
I'm still thinking B tier. Like, again, there's nothing that he's done to tick me off. Like, and I like the robot design of, like, the robot dog design for him.
I do feel like his design is more boring. I wish it was yellow, so maybe, B tier.
It makes sense. Like, Robotnik would want to, like, make him look more menacing.
Yeah. King Acorn.
Fuck the Royals. F tier.
Fuck the Royals. F tier. Yeah, baby. Right next, on par with Wolverine.
But for real, like, I have no thoughts on this character. He is just a male damsel. I don't know
nothing about him.
Yeah, like, he's a good father. He, I suppose, was a good ruler.
He was sent to the zone of silence, apparently.
Yeah, like, D tier. Like,
D tier, okay.
I don't care for this character.
Fair enough. What the fuck is this person's name?
I don't even remember.
I put some characters in just to piss you off that you're gonna have to figure out what to say about them. And, okay, this character's name is Rosie. She's the one that tells Sally she needs to see something, and that's when she goes off to talk to Julela.
I don't give a shit about Rosie. Like,
Damn. She looks pretty. She's pretty. She's okay. She's kind. Like she's a like nice, kind consort to Princess Sally.
Yeah.
And as such, she gets the S tier.
No, don't. D tier. Like,
C tier.
It just looks. I know I'm saying this because I like Uncle Chuck. It just looks like old lady Sally to me. Even though
C tier.
Uncle Chuck is even D tier for.
She's at least kind. She at least has the personality trait of being a nice person.
Okay, fine. We'll put her in C. There.
Yeah. Okay. Julela, Sally's mentor.
I said in the thing, like, I wish we got to actually know this character so her death would mean something.
Yeah.
Like, I think the concept of this character is okay, even though if it is just a bunch of mentor tropes.
She's like, pretty. I like the turtleneck she wears in her final moments. So,
C tier.
B tier. No, C tier, okay. C tier. And now we get into Sonic's kids.
Jr.
Yeah.
Fucking really, dude?
I don't know. I thought it'd be funny. I don't know. He's feisty. He's cute. He's like a young little Sonic. I would say he's on par with his father.
Fine.
He's sitting next to his dad.
About as much personality as each other.
Yeah, so they're on par. That being said, though, I do think Sally Jr. is very cute with her, like the little, like, pants that she wears. It's adorable. I think she gets the B tier.
D tier.
Wow. You're saying...
I was going to say, it's that I forgot to mention, like, when Sally finally got her jacket, it just feels so, like, it because I'm just so used to it in other cartoons, but it's just so weird to me seeing female Anthro characters basically nude.
Yeah.
Especially since they draw them shapely, like the way they do Bunny and Sally, just, it feels weird.
I remember that. I remember that being part of the discussion at the time when, like, the Archie comics was going, is that it just felt kind of weird, and part of that was people just being super anti-furry. But, also part of it is that, like, she's canonically 15 in this timeline, so it is kind of bizarre.
Yeah, it's also just the fact, like, this design just looks weird to me. Like, I think, like, the current style design is slowly warming up to me, but I genuinely prefer, like, the looks that, like, we got later when they make her more like an actual Sonic character and give her some more clothing. Like the jacket looked, like, with the more modern Sonic design looked fine as well, but I honestly prefer the more, like, the design we got, like, much later on, which gives her full clothing. Like, it just looks... But, like, with this current design, it just looks
looks weird.
It's especially just... Next
very
to Sonic.
90s cartoon.
Yeah, like Disney-esque to me, I'd say. It's like a good way to put it.
Jeffrey St. John, I'm gonna be honest, probably just the D tier.
Wow, I actually thought you kind of liked him. Like, I remember you mentioned that you liked him.
I remember I liked him more than everyone else in that miniseries, which is not saying much. He's okay.
I don't care for him. So D tier at least.
D tier. He's just forgettable womanizer.
Yeah,
British savant. I don't care, honestly.
The rookies.
I think they all go into an unironic F tier.
Agreed.
Like, Hamlin is fucking annoying, and then everyone else is just absolutely forgettable.
And just, I don't like their designs. I think you put it quite well. A mix of Care Bears and anti-drug PSA-looking characters.
Yeah, they look so messed up, honestly. Like the Archie comics, when, like, they're drawing, like, characters that weren't given to them by Sega do tend to look pretty bizarre. But at least back then, they had, like... They looked interesting. They looked like they fit within their own universe. At this point... It just feels like we crossed into another story, and I just cannot get over the... what the fuck is their name? Hold on. I have all of their names.
I think one of them was named Art.
Dylan is the one I'm thinking of. Dylan, this one here. I hate his Care Bear looking ass so much. His spiritually grounded ass. I don't care. I don't fucking care.
Like I said when we were talking about the issues, I don't think the art style of Art Mawhinney helps. Like, it's very stiff, not very expressive. So
they look like animatronics.
Agreed. Yeah, that's another good way to put it. At least for, like, the other three. At least Hamlin looks like a cartoon pig to me. Like, he makes me think of, like, U.S. Acres from Garfield and Friends.
I'm still hoping for the pig that gets their shit rocked at the final story to be Hamlin, because
it looked different enough from Hamlin, but then again, a different artist, so
yeah. And so now we get into Robotnik. Unironic S tier for Hamlin. Okay.
I said Robotnik.
I know.
Don't you dare put Hamlin up there.
He is a robot. He is a boat fucker, though. So I'm not sure.
God damn it. Don't take this from me, buddy.
Yeah, no, maybe Robotnik will be our first actual unironic S, because, like, he's really good, and in the stories written by Penders, he's, like, genuinely menacing, genuinely a threat in a way that I found was absolutely fascinating, and it's a shame that we immediately go back to more cartoony adventures Robotnik right after, but, we'll see as we go.
Like, if it wasn't for... writers. If it wasn't for 21 and 22, he could probably be A rank, because I still at least enjoy, like, this cartoonishly evil Robotnik. But, like, with those two issues, like, that is the kind of stuff that I love for, like I said, I love seeing in Eggman. Like, the evil speeches, the bravado, the, like... Absolute, like, ego on this bastard. I love it. And just the way that, like, Spaziante draws him helps add to that.
Yeah, Spaziante and Penders do such an amazing job. Like, I said it in a Discord conversation with Vespa. Honestly, if we just had Spaziante and Penders doing the rest of the comic, and we didn't have, like, whatever drama happens to make everything fall apart, like, I don't know what happens, and we'll get there when we get there.
Right.
But, like, if we had, like, this snapshot in time of Spaziante and Penders just extrapolated for 10 years, I would actually say that the Archie Sonic comics are like an underlooked gem, you know, like I would actually say that it would have been like greatly underappreciated in a way that would like be like I would feel like a crazy person talking about it, but it's like how I talk about like fucking reading Umineko and like reading Invincible the comic, because it's like it was just such an interesting two comics, and we'll see as we get going into the next batch since we haven't read it yet. But you know, maybe they could squander that. But for right now, I'm really interesting.
I think at least Spaziante will still keep the ball rolling. Like I still hear like great things about his artwork even now.
Yeah, Snively. I feel like A tier or above. I genuinely think. I think when he is just side to Robotnik, he is just a less interesting crab meat.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
But
that was kind of
specifically in Eve and Return, I like the dynamic of how he like. Yeah, it's a bit cliche that he is helpless when he doesn't have someone to kiss ass to, but I also just found it genuinely humanizing that when Robotnik was thought to be dead, he just fucking snaps. He loses it. He's just like, get out right now. And I thought that was like an interesting moment for his character. Yeah. And then I think what like lynched him for me, I think what cinched him for me as being A tier or above is when Robotnik comes back and like chides him for activating the Operation Doomsday, and he's like, you never told me this, how would I know? And Robotnik is like, why would I tell my subordinates this information? That's like number one rule of evil. And Snively is just like, oh, there's the big guy I know. And like in like tiny text, you see like he calls him like a goofball or like a big doof or something, and I was just like, Snively is just an interesting character to me at this point in time because he's like an ass kisser to Robotnik because that's all he knows, but he feels like a man who has his own agency. Like he's fine with being Robotnik's underling, and he is just like having a blast being part of the ride, you know? And so I genuinely think he needs to be A tier or above, because he's just like, I thought he was really fun in that, again, in that snapshot of 2 issues.
Yeah, I definitely, that's how I was kind of feeling too. Like, Kimura said what I was going to say, at least like for the first half with him, like, outside of those 2 issues, he really does just feel like the lesser version of Crab Meat, which is fucking wild to say. Like, I know we're getting a little ahead, but I was not expecting to like Crab Meat as much as I have so far. Like, he's a genuinely fun. Like, I feel like the way that I see them is kind of like if Cubot and Orbot actually had characters. Like, he would be the Orbot, and like Crab Meat would be the Cubot. Since like Orbot at least feels like somewhat level-headed and kind of like the smarter of the 2, while Crab Meat and Cubot are like the goofy ones that like are just like, I'm not sure, like they're still villains, but like they're just so ineffective and stupid, you kind of just can't, like, just don't really feel like they're actually villains, you know? But at least like the 2 of them still feel like if Robotnik was gone, like they probably would try to take the place of them. Or like they would try to usurp him in some way. Like I do agree with you though on like those 2 issues with him. Like I think like I'm not sure if it's confirmed yet in the comics yet, but I believe in the cartoon he is meant to be Robotnik's nephew, which kind of also adds to the dynamic. Like, and it makes me curious to see where we're going to go with him in the future, since I'm assuming he will still be like a major player. Yeah,
I think in this moment of time, A tier.
Yeah, I do.
We need an A tier that is actually featured in the story and not just a rehash of an Adventures episode. SWAT bots. I was tempted to leave them where they were because they don't have much of a presence in the story. But also, I feel like that's also part of the problem, is that they're slowly being melded back into what they're like in the cartoon as just generic evil robots.
Yeah, that's something I didn't bring up during the miniseries as well, and I kind of regret it. Like, there's just something about the way that both Sally stories portray SWAT bots and Eggman robots in general that feels much like a jarringly different from what we get from the rest of the series currently, where the SWAT bots are just like loyal, like robotic minions that are completely loyal to Robotnik and are serious like mooks. While the rest of his robots, I don't think we see any badniks. Instead, we get for the first story, it was just like the monsters guarding the cave, like where where they had to go, the Forbidden Zone or whatever it was called. But during the miniseries, we actually get different robots that look completely different from the badniks we get in the rest of the series, which I feel kind of mixed on. I definitely think the badniks would be a little too goofy for that kind of story, but also it just kind of adds to the feeling of this feels like a separate thing from Sonic the Hedgehog entirely. There's, especially that miniseries, you probably could just read that with no context of Sonic and not think that it was a Sonic comic by the end of it, which is something I just always felt mixed on in regards to Sally, and to a lesser extent the Freedom Fighters as a whole. But maybe maybe my opinion will change as we get into the more serious stuff with them later on.
See. I think the SWAT bots need to get demoted to a C tier because they've lost a lot of their doofy charm that they had.
They're even outside of the Sally stories, I don't think we get that many goofy moments with them, for better or worse. On the one hand,
we just get another tilt pinball joke.
Yeah. They were just kind of there to be cannon fodder alongside the badniks. Scratch, Grounder, and
Speaking of cannon fodder, Scratch and Grounder are dealt absolutely dirty. I think we should just bump them to D tier and move on, because they have nothing going for them. They only appeared in one issue at this point, and past that basically just exist as generic badniks to be that Sonic effortlessly deals with.
Yeah, it bums me out. I get why, because they probably are taking more from Sad AM, but it's still just, and we have Snively and Crabmeat as the henchmen, to try and differentiate, but I get it, but at the same time it's still bumpy out because they're some of my favorite of the 90s American characters. Coconuts,
I feel like Coconuts might get C tier though. I don't care for him, but at least he exists.
Yeah, at least
he still exists as a character that speaks, which is more than I can say for Scratch and Grounder.
Yeah, and at least he is retaining his trait from Adventures, which is him being the actual butt monkey of Robotnik's baddies, the lowest on the rung, and wanting to climb to the top of Robotnik's list, which I appreciate, even if it was just kind of pushed to the side for Sally to fawn over Sonic. And after that point, he goes back to being cannon fire alongside the rest of the badniks. So, to be generous for this batch, C tier, but he probably is going to go down to the D next issue, our next batch.
I can't believe our first double digit is C. That is fucking miserable.
I'm kind of not surprised. It wouldn't be a double digit without if it wasn't for all the gag characters. But honestly, I feel the actual C tier stuff, Sonic, Sally, and Rotor, kind of what I expect.
I feel it would still hit double tier even if I didn't add in so many goofy jackasses. I guess I meant to say goofy joke characters, but goofy jackasses is pretty good.
I was also going to say, I guess we could kind of treat, A-ranked Snively as, the two stories of Paziante, right? And, the Goofy Jackasses tier as Snively in any other context outside of it so far.
Bat Brain. They speak Transylvanian for some reason.
Because
I don't know.
There was, a Batman logo joke at one point.
I put them in mainly just because they're a badnik with a speaking role, which is more than we can say about, like, Slicer and, like, a bunch of other, like, Sonic 2 badniks that did appear, but don't say anything, and so I didn't bother. My one regret is I did not put in the priest that marries Sonic and Sally in the play production. I was really tempted to, but, like, I knew at some point I had to draw the line on joke characters.
That's fair. Like, I did have that in my notes. Like, it cracked me up that it's just, like, a regular, like, cartoon penguin. Doesn't even look like it belongs in the... Like, it's the same thing as, like, the owl character coming up. Like, it looks like a cartoon character from a different series.
Yeah. Give me 1 second, because I'm now noticing we are finally hitting the point where the tier list is too long to be shown on stream.
Uh-oh.
So, that fits to, I see, transform, what did we get? Let me just do that then. Okay. Crab meat, my beloved. As much as I joked about it, about being an S, probably still an A.
Yeah, A tier is, I feel like, about right, because he's starting to get phased out at this point.
Yeah.
Understandably so.
But I still love him.
Yeah, like, genuinely, he is a fun, like, sidekick villain for Robotnik for these comics. He is honestly genuinely endearing to, like, see when he pops up in, like, those early issues.
Yeah, I feel like he's gonna go into the A tier for now. Motobug, your beloved.
D tier. Like, I love Motobugs, but, like, this Motobug does jack shit, and also doesn't even have the right colors. Like, it also kind of annoys me.
They don't even color him correctly.
Yeah, it's not even, like, a same thing, like, with Brounder being colored wrong for a panel or two. Like, I think that's just how they colored the Motobug for whatever reason for that one story we see him in. Okay,
Evil Sonic. Because at this point, we're done with the Freedom Fighters, those around the Freedom Fighters, and Robotnik and his minions, and now we're getting into the section that is just the characters that appear for, like, each issue, and we're going chronologically. So, Evil Sonic, I really like him.
Yeah, I think
he's just a cartoon jackass, but he's really fun.
Yeah, I feel like also, like, they kind of, like, in the third appearance, like, the one of all the evil freedom fighters, like, I think they were trying to go for, like, a Travolta-esque voice with, like, a accent with him. In fact, they were trying to give him, like, some sort of accent, which I thought was kind of funny. I like him as, like, just this, like, bad but, like, comically, like, douchey Sonic. Like, genuinely,
I like how you said bad butt as if you're trying to censor badass, and then you just say douchey right after.
I was saying bad butt because, like, badass does not describe this character, dude.
I know, but also it was just a fun dichotomy,
I know.
Honestly.
Like, I think bad butt describes this kind of character well. Like, it's like a 90s kid-friendly version of, like, a cool guy, which is just, like, a 50s gracer. Like, I genuinely did enjoy Evil Sonic. Like, I'd say at least A tier, if not that.
Yeah, I was thinking A tier as well. And so now we get into Veterinarian Robotnik.
I like how, like, it kind of unintentionally looks like him and Sonic are shaking hands.
Yeah, it's really good. I really like that unintentional effect with I don't know. Obviously there's not much to talk about him, but I think he was pretty neat for what it's worth. I like how he's, like, still looks evil as hell, but is also kindly, how he, like, wants to give Sonic a checkup after dealing with evil Sonic.
I'd say
B tier.
Yeah, I was gonna say B tier. Like, I feel like that suits him well. Like, it's still Robotnik. I still have a soft spot for him. Like, as, like, on a baseline, Robotnik / Eggman is one of my favorite Sonic characters as is. And it's just a funny take on a good guy Robotnik to me. Like, it would be kind of creative to have him be an actual, like, doctor and a veterinarian at that. Son
Ugg, D tier. Moving on. No, I don't know. He doesn't... There's one thing that I didn't cover because I forgot to, is that people actually are speculating that Robotnik, instead of building a time machine, made a space machine basically and sent Sonic to a different dimension, with all the other Sonics, and this is instead a prehistoric dimension of all the characters.
I could definitely believe that.
Absolutely giving them way too much credit, but it's a fun little theory to think on.
I could see. I think that makes sense. I feel like that. That's a good way to retcon it later. That was not the time travel that was not your prehistoric ancestor Sonic. That's just the caveman Sonic world and the caveman world. I can see that actually being a retcon later on when things get more serious.
I feel like he's gonna be C tier just because he is literally just Sonic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose that's fair. I just don't really like this design, honestly.
No. Robotnik. Honestly, I would put him on par with Vet Robotnik.
Agreed.
Because he's stupid, but I do love how, because robots haven't been invented yet, he just plays pretend with himself.
Yeah,
I think that is really funny, honestly.
I do. I wish we got a bit more of the Robotnik antics, because that was genuinely that guy did crack me up when I first read it.
It was really good.
Eagle D.
Cyril, the bald-headed eagle, D tier. Very forgettable. When we were reading him, I was like, stop introducing characters. You're just gonna tempt me to put them on the tier list, dude.
Yeah, it just feels like, and going with a lot of comparison to Sonic Adventures and Adventures of Sonic, he feels like the kind of character you see in a one-off episode. Even the concept, I could see that being a plot in Sonic Adventures of Sonic, add in Tails and extend it to, and bring in the goofball duo, Scratch and Grounder, and you pretty much have an Adventures of Sonic plot right there.
Speaking of Adventures of Sonic plot, Larry to Link, Super Jinx, D tier, moving on.
There's an F tier for getting me stumbling for a minute trying to describe his goofy ass. No, but D tier, honestly, it's a cute... the design kind of saves it for me, even if the concept is, cliche. Just the Jinx.
Just annoying. And so, we get to Paul Castiglia, one of the former editor, because they are appearing in the off panels, and so I thought it'd be funny to actually put them in a tier list. I mean, Paul seems like an upstanding guy, even if he beats the shit out of Scott. Though, to be fair, Scott does fight back.
Yeah.
I think A tier. I think he seems like an upstanding gentleman.
Yeah, and for the work that they're doing on the comics, and as well as them, admitting to, the screw-ups, with miscrediting and forgetting to credit writers for stories, after the fact. I generally appreciate that. I think, A tier suits them well.
Yeah. I think Scott Shaw gets the S tier, though. Especially... Not Scott Shaw, that's the artist. This editor, Scott, as I put him in the thumbnails, because I was too lazy to look up his last name. Scott Fulop, that's it. Scott Fulop. I think he gets the S tier.
Because... Scott.
No. I have, an actual reasoning. I know. Because, he's just... he is just an editor, but, he is the guy that we learned behind the scenes pushed back and, made it so they kept the story with Knuckles,
Agreed.
And so I think the fact that he was willing to push back against Sega and be like, no, you're not getting away with this shit, I think deserves the S for Sega fucker.
Agreed.
Sega fucker over Sega squanderer.
Knuckles S tier. So, moving on.
Yeah, no.
He's my boy. I can't help it. He's one of my favorite Sonic characters too. But unironically, I think maybe A. If not that, then B. Because we only get one story of him, but and it's the standard Knuckles plot. But at that point, it wasn't standard. The miscommunication, and we do. Go over to say.
It's at this point. It's innovative, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's literally just riffing on the same plot from Sonic 3. but it's the only other story, meaning it is just an adaptation of Sonic 3.
Yeah.
And so I think Knuckles' a story of a guy that gets fooled by Eggman, which is not much. You know, we're on the ground floor, and so this is like a new thing, and I think putting out all of the later years of Sega and just going with this is just what he is now, I would say that's pretty good for him.
Yeah,
and
like
so I guess it would be an A tier.
Yeah, like I think it makes sense. Like you said, it's adapting Sonic 3, and it also makes sense from the sense of like he's this lonely islander that has never had contact with anyone until Robotnik shows up, and like of course he's gonna believe that this guy's the would be right. Like he doesn't know it. He doesn't know better. Like it makes sense.
Fuck. Stop.
Oh,
you were making me strongly consider pushing him into S tier, because just the idea of like the fact that he's getting tricked not being because he's stupid, but because he has not had contact with anyone. I think that's actually a really fun dichotomy, though.
Yeah, like I think that's kind of what I found interesting. Like I think that's at least like it would make sense like in the original context, and to a lesser extent maybe like at least for maybe Adventure. But like when it gets to later on, like it's more just them exaggerating the point. But I think it's also jump ahead a bit to another Sonic series. I remember there was a point in like the Sonic X dub where like Cosmos mentions that like Knuckles falls for Robotnik's tricks because he like wants to see the best in people or something along that line, which I think is like kind of a nice like an interesting way to take it. It's just that that's usually not how they portray Knuckles in the game. It's more because haha, he gullible, he dumb muscle. But yeah, the
S tier.
Yeah, I fucking love Knuckles. Like he's like I said, one of my favorite characters in Sonic, even as a kid.
We finally did it. We've cracked the glass ceiling, and we finally have a hero character in the fabled unironic S tier, ignoring the fact that he's only been in one story thus far.
Yeah, things could change in the future for better or worse.
And he might immediately plummet depending on how this next batch goes.
Yeah, given it is a very Knuckles heavy batch, it sounds like.
Passion Flower.
F, please, that thing is gross looking.
Yeah, but they're very affectionate.
I don't care, it's gross.
You know me. I'm a plant fucker.
Dude, I like plants. I like anthro plants too. That plant is creepy as hell. No, don't put it next to Freddy Fox. Don't make him kiss Freddy Fox. Don't. No. F tier belongs. F for flower.
Fine.
You haven't kissed the stupid porcupine dude.
Stupid frog. No, hold on. How do we... Oh, we can't get... Hold on, let's move this around. We have the princess and the frog situation.
F for flower and F for frog.
Yeah.
Okay, like, take it...
Hold on, I gotta fix the tier list again. But I gotta fix the tier list on the stream again.
Fair enough.
We're finally hitting that point where I actually have to move shit around constantly.
Fair enough.
Hold on, it's getting cut off. Okay.
It's like, speaking through the frog thing, it just feels like, again, another like stock plot, just kind of fill in your own characters with it. Like, it's very much like the typical, like it's pretty much like a typical, like a Fable setup, but like, there really is no moral. It's just like a bunch of antics with Sonic messing up which stones are which is kind of funny, but like...
it's stupid.
It's an unremarkable story that I'm probably going to forget about, like, until I see the stupid frog thing again on the next tier list.
Yeah. Universe Salamander. Unironic, non-canonical S. May he rest in peace, my beloved Universe Salamander.
Okay, like, speaking of him seriously, what did we have it on last time?
We have him at C. We had him at a C tier.
Do we want to bump him up to B? Like,
He's very peppy. He's got a lot of spunk. He's got a lot of fight in him. I would love to put him in... The thing is, in my brain, I'm, like, satisfied with B, satisfied with shitposting and putting him in S, but not satisfied with putting him in A. And so I guess I'm going to have to be, like, fine and put him in B tier.
B tier is fine for me. Like, he at least has enough of a personality to make me, like, find him a fun threat for an issue 2, and just, like, the dark way that they take him out at the end of the second story does crack me up, and just, like, a very, like, weirdly dark kind of meta joke. Like, it's the kind of thing I would not expect from, like, these kind of comics. Like, I probably would expect more from Sonic the comic, honestly.
I dread when we had to do Sonic the comic.
I'm genuinely curious to finally crack that series open after all this time.
Because then, like, I just want to see what the Sonic the comic tier list is going to look when we start doing other things and have, like, cross-reference for tier lists.
Yeah.
The mole. Nondescript mole from Hedgehog. I mainly put him there because he's funny, and he does explicitly tell Robotnik, the person who is spying on them, but he doesn't listen because it's a who's on first bit. I feel like C tier just because it's funny to me.
Yeah, fair enough. I kind of find the design funny. It looks like... I was about to say Mountie, but that's not right. I'm thinking of like a forest ranger, like Smokey the Bear, but if he was
unassuming,
a
mole.
Yeah. I didn't realize that was like... that he was actually did kind of say like who the spy was.
Yeah, like, it's something I just noticed when I was writing post notes for episode 4, was that, he does say who's behind it, and, like, exactly who, and then, like, Robotnik doesn't get it because it's a who's on first bit.
Yeah.
Speaking of who, Harvey who, again, sometimes I put these characters on here just to torment you, so I'm fine with just putting him in D tier.
That works for me. That's just... I wouldn't mind probably as much if he didn't look just so generic.
Yeah.
Again, I couldn't see this like it being anything but Sonic if I first looked at him.
Yeah. King Gong. D tier. I did not care for that story. You can make your point for putting him higher, but I'm not too fond of him.
I mean, I enjoy the story, but not for King Gong because... both King Kong and Frankenstein parodies are just a tired thing to me. Like, even for the 90s, I feel like it's pushing it. And, like, the only reason I enjoyed that story mostly was from, like, Robotnik's personality. Like, he just had that kind of, like, funny bravado to him with how much he, like, loves his creation that, like,
I did like that part. For me.
But, like, King Gong himself I think, is, D-tier.
Like you said, King Gong is just forgettable. And so we get to Posey the Possum, the person who sticks up against Robotnik in the story in Sonic in Your Face. I did not put every member of Sonic Con, but Posey did have a pivotal role.
Yeah.
So she did get an existing part in the tier list. C tier.
I was actually going to say C tier. Like, it's a cute one-off character. Like, we didn't really cover the story that much during it, but like, it feels like if we set with the Cyril story, it feels like another Adventures plot. Like, even the evil Sonic, like, we're going to come up to them, like, the evil Freedom Fighters plot also feels kind of adventure-y because of just, like, the setting. Like, it's a much more lighthearted setting where it feels like Robotnik's presence isn't as strong as it is throughout the rest of the series. Like,
yeah, definitely.
There's just like this casual convention honoring Sonic the Hedgehog out in the open, and it was not immediately besieged by Robotnik or taken down in some way. It's just kind of feels more like, again, something you'd see in Adventures rather than this universe. But yeah, like it's...
Speaking of...
one last thing, like, apparently, according to the Sonic Wiki, Posey's meant to be a reference to the old newspaper comic Pogo, which the main character of that is also a possum. And I thought like her design looked weird but kind of familiar, and it's because like I think it is based after Pogo's design.
And so she goes into the S now. Speaking of
Sonic,
like you said, not of this universe, but of another, Cyborg Sonic. I think the idea that there is a world line yes, I read Steins Gate, fight me, in which
okay.
Sonic and friends got roboticized partially as cyborgs instead, and just end up kicking Robotnik's ass into the ground so hard he had to roboticize himself. I think that's fucking hilarious, and I honestly love that world for him. I kind of want to put him in A tier just for his conception.
Yeah.
But we can put him down to B tier if you're not happy about that.
Honestly, I would put him in A if he had both more of a presence and wasn't just a fucking Terminator pair. I know by this time it wasn't as worn out, and at least they don't lean on the fucking Schwarzenegger jokes or Terminator jokes. Okay.
So B tier.
At least have that. So, but still, I do wish that he had more presence and wasn't just, a messenger. I kind of just want to put him in B tier. As much as I do agree that the premise of his universe is pretty good. But Robotnik, on the other hand...
B tier is the Terminator reference zone. Because we have the Terminator and Cyborg Sonic.
God damn it.
So, Robotnik... A tier or above, because I think he's a fascinating villain. How he is a man obsessed with robots who ended up having to himself become one in desperation.
Yeah. Also for pushing all the Sonic to the brink, probably being the strongest opponent they've faced so far, as well as even if it is a different version of Robotnik. Going back to it again, 22 with the conversation with the comics universe's Robotnik and Robotnik. Again, that's another really good moment, one of the best moments in the comics so far.
So
I feel
right.
Even if that
S tier, because that conversation in The Return was really good.
Yeah, fair enough. S tier works for me.
Holy shit, we're actually populating the S tier for once. That's fucking amazing.
Genuine, unironic S's.
Yeah. Speaking of unironic S's, Eve... Kidding. I don't know, Eve was terrifying, but I love their concept. I know it's definitely a derivative one.
Yeah.
But it tickles my brainworm in a way that I was fascinated with. I think maybe not S tier, but still highly ranking, because I do feel like it gets a bit deflated when they basically go, I must go, my freedom needs me, as she just flies off into space.
Yeah, we didn't really talk much about Eve in the story, or at least in both this and the recap. But I do think both the fight with her, it's one of the first actual fights we've had in the comics. If it doesn't give Sonic that hard of a time, I do like that the whole concept of her changing and a la the. I forget what Terminator version it is, but the Terminator from Terminator 2, the Liquid one, transforming into different machines to try and adapt to Sonic, as well as the twist of her going against Robotnik. If it is the cliche of my weakness is the humans that made me, or something like that.
It was more that Robotnik's evil and tyrannical, whereas Sonic values freedom, and more importantly to Eve, having free will is more that why she turned on him. So it's not even much of a, the human element, it's the fact that Robotnik just wants to control everything and make everything mindless is the thing.
It's the concept I think we could, I could see in an actual Sonic story, outside, a Sonic story, in a Sonic game or something for, Robotnik's villain of the, monster of the week.
Definitely.
I find it kind of funny, if we were talking, about, repeating plots. This is technically the first instance of Robotnik's, new monster of the week turning against, well, I guess technically Universe Salamander, but, I feel the more, genuine, first real, in the same way, Chaos and all those other guys would turn against him later, just without as much of a climax.
It was less Universe Salamander, more Terminator, I guess.
I suppose.
I don't know. But still, I guess A tier.
Yeah, A tier works for me. In the design, I think it is meant to be intentionally creepy. The butterfly thing just looks fucking weird. And
it looks it looks like Paul's holding Thorny now.
It kind of does.
Sir Run-A-Lot, fucking, I don't give a shit. This might be the first Sonic we put in F tier. I really like Knights, but I don't give a shit about Sir Run-A-Lot.
Even at the end, he like goes, Knight armor's like too heavy for me anyway, so for him, F tier.
Holy shit. We will be doing another tier list just for Sonics at some undisclosed point in the future.
Christ, I should have known that's going to happen. Like, I'm guessing that's going to wait a while.
Known. We'll wait some time. And so we get into Mortale, the page.
F. I thought the story was funny, but like I'll put the Robotnik to D tier though. Like,
yeah, we gotta have the Robotnik tax and put Sir Nightmare at least in D tier. And now he's charging with Botman.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, and like Catacure is going against the drill guy. What's his name?
Burrowbot,
yeah, like
Burrowbot.
It's not the way like it is weirdly fitting. Like we got Antoine and Bunny next to each other. It looks like the king's looking at Nicole. There's like an unintentional like,
yeah, with Scratch and Jeffrey OTP.
I'm gonna get the hiccups again.
Anyway, Kareem F tier Evil Tales. I don't have anything to say about Kareem. I don't care. I honestly don't care.
Agreed.
Evil Tales.
Honestly, none of the evil ones really stick out to me as much as Evil Sonic. Like, they all are just kind of just dirtbags.
I feel like Evil Tales, Evil Antoine, and Evil Rotor get the D tier. Evil Sally gets the C tier, maybe above, because she beats the shit out of Sonic, and I think that's really funny.
Didn't she also beat the shit out of Evil Sonic 2 earlier in the story?
Well, that's what I mean, Evil Sonic. I misspoke.
Yeah. That works for me.
Okay. It's where should we put her?
Next to Sally.
We'll put her next to Sally. And so that's gonna do it for the tier list. Purple Grounder.
God damn it.
Well, that's I hate this tier list, dude. Like, we've made progress.
Genuine progress.
We have some characters actually in the S and A tier that aren't just like jokes or cameos.
Yeah.
But also, most of the Freedom Fighters are still at the bottom.
I love that fucking kid, Howie. It's above the rest of them fucking. Good God! Even she looks confused.
Yeah, she doesn't know why she's above every other incarnation of her mother.
Jesus Christ. Like, it looks fine from, like, maybe A tier. Like, there's a few jokey ones. Oh, God damn it. F tier.
So what did he say?
I see SSS tier. I was going to say, it looks fine from A, like, at least A tier, and then I look up at those two. God damn it.
Freddy the Fox and Purple Grounder. We gotta fill out the triple S tier at some point, dude. It's looking pretty bleak with just two people. When it was just like one character, it's like, yeah, Freddy the Fox, my beloved, but it's still kind of depressing.
Wait,
we gotta bring it up somehow.
Knuckles?
Oh, I forgot about Trans Knuckles. Fuck. I was gonna put that in too. We'll do that next time. We'll do that in post.
Oh my God.
But that'll do it for this episode of the special stage. Tune in next time where I don't know what we're doing next. I haven't figured that out. Just stay safe, Penderbrains.
Gotta choose.
God damn it. God damn it.